So this morning, Wednesdays are our day for self-care meditation. And I just wanted to start off by saying something about how we can often be a bit misguided about ourselves. And we all do it, I think. I think it's a human trait to want to be better than we are, to want to appear better than we are, even to want to fool ourselves into thinking we're better than we are. And how we are right now is okay, actually. It's all right, because it's just, I mean, if you look at it, it's just true. And if we try and pretend that it's any different, if we're any different how we are now, it's a kind of denial of the truth, which is crazy. We are just as we are now. So the first step in self-care is just accepting ourselves as we are, fully and completely. That doesn't mean to say that we don't want to change anything. There will be things in that we can change, and there will be things that we can't change. So we've just got to accept, we've got to learn to accept with grace the things we can't change. Just know what they are. It might be the way we look. It might be our lack of certain talents or abilities, or it could be anything. But if we can't change it, there is no point at all in getting upset about it, in mentally going on about it and beating ourselves up about it. If we can't change it, let's just accept it, because it's all right. It's just what our mind does. Our mind really would like everything to be just how it wants it. Our minds have this need to try and get things to be comfortable all the time. So some things are never going to be totally comfortable. So can we just see those things and be kind towards them? We maybe can't just accept them overnight, but we can have a kindness towards our sense of dissatisfaction with them. So that's the first thing, seeing what we can't change, and in some way beginning to accept that, to notice the pain that it brings, if there is any, to notice the discomfort, but to just be with that with a sense of love. And then the things we can change, probably including our behavior. We might want to be less angry, for instance, or less depressed, or less anxious. So all these things we can change, but we don't change them by trying to get angry about them or anxious about them. We change them by accepting them, by seeing them fully, by really seeing them, knowing we want to change, but accepting them as they are right now. So we will get angry, we will get disappointed, we will get anxious, but we can try not to act that out. We can try to just notice the feelings in the body, these feelings of anxiety, these feelings of anger or tightness in the body. And anxiety is kind of a churning in the stomach. We can notice the result of our anxiety or anger or disappointment in the body. And we can tune into that with kindness and just accept it at the moment for what it is. And magically, if we can do that in the course of time, we will change. But we won't change by forcing it. We only change by noticing what we want to change and accepting it for now, not beating ourselves up for it. Just the noticing of what we want to change changes us. And it's magical, but it is true. So acceptance is everything. So that's what this meditation is about. It's about just accepting ourselves as we are, knowing what we can change and what we can't change, and working towards the changes that we can make in a kind, patient way. Okay, so having said that, let's get on with it. And welcome to Rachel, Julia, Beth, and Merce. Great to see you. Great to see you all this morning, and everybody who joins us afterwards on the recording. So we'll begin by doing this self-care meditation with just settling in as usual. And it's in 5 stages, and I'll lead us through each stage. And I would encourage you to relax with this, not try too hard. Just try and just notice how it is for you, and particularly with a sense of as much kindness as you can muster. Okay. So we begin in the usual way by just settling into our meditation. We can notice the pull of gravity on our body. So whether we're lying or sitting, we can feel gravity pulling our bodies down. And we can just give up the weight. Just give up the weight to this gravity, letting the bed or the floor or the chair or the cushion hold our weight. Just letting go, being held by the earth. And bringing attention to the breath, the in-breath and the out-breath. Maybe taking a few deep breaths, filling the lungs completely and then emptying them completely. So as we do this, noticing any tension in the body, any strong feelings in the body. So these might be things like churning in the tummy, a vibration, strong vibration in the body, or tightness in the chest, or just general tension in the body. So these feelings manifest in our minds as something like anxiety or anger or stress or anything else. Every emotion we have in ourselves, every emotion that arises in our minds has a feeling in the body. So if we can separate these two, so we identify the bare feeling in the body, just as the bare feeling, try not to label it as anything, just seeing it as either a pleasant or an unpleasant sensation in the body, or maybe neutral. And even if it's, particularly if it's unpleasant, just having a kindly acceptance of it, holding it, snuggling up to it, bathing it in loving kindness, this uncomfortable feeling. Just taking care of any unpleasant feelings in our body without labeling them. And bringing our attention now to the shoulders, rising and falling. And keeping our one eye on any uncomfortable feelings in the body, continuing to bathe them in loving kindness, but noticing also our shoulders rising and falling as we breathe. And as we breathe out and the shoulders fall, just letting any tension drop away. Letting any unpleasant feelings drop away through the body with the out-breath into the ground. Doing this on each out-breath. Relaxing a bit more and a bit more. And if there's any remaining uncomfortable feelings in the body, including any aches or tightness, just continuing to hold that with kindness and patience, not fighting it. So in the first stage of this self-care practice, we're just going to taking the whole of ourselves, the whole of our being, just reflecting that we are like a precious jewel. Our lives are so precious. Being here is such a miracle. And we're very much like a jewel. Some of our facets are shiny and beautiful. And maybe we feel that some of our facets of this jewel are a bit jaded or a bit discoloured. And that's okay. We're still the jewel, no matter whether we shine in certain areas or not. And as time goes on, some of these less shiny bits of our jewel, we can polish. We can bring to full shininess. All we have to do is to just accept them for now as they are, to accept ourselves just as we are. We're a work in progress. So accepting what we can't change, and just noticing what we can change. And for the moment, that's enough. We can create so much upset and sorrow for ourselves through dissatisfaction. So can we have a sense that however we are, right this moment, it's okay? Can we wish our imperfect selves well? Can we have a sense of kindness and loving kindness to our imperfect selves? Knowing that we're doing our best, and that if we keep doing our best, change will happen. So in the second stage of this practice, we're just going to reflect on how we can help ourselves to accept the things we can't change and to work towards changing the things that we can change. So can we be our own best friend? Can we stand by ourselves when things go wrong with a sense of kindness and understanding that we're doing our best? Can we be our own best friend and help ourselves to accept the things we can't change? Can we be there for ourselves all the time, just like a real best friend would? Somebody that we know, that we love, that is always there for us. Can we be there for ourselves no matter what? Supporting ourselves, encouraging ourselves, loving ourselves for just as we are. In the third stage, we're just going to reflect on the parts of ourselves that are vulnerable and scared. I think we might all pretend to other people that these aren't there, but in fact they are. And they crop up all the time. This uncertainness, this feeling that maybe we're not quite good enough, we're not quite up to the situation. This resistance to doing things that frighten us a little bit. Or just this anxiety about what's going to happen. So can we see these tendencies as a small child? A small child that is just frightened. This small child within that is not sure that it's up to the job, not sure that it's up to this task of making its way through life. So it's a hangover, this small child, from when we were young, probably. We still have this child within us, most of us. So if it was a child outside of ourselves, that was worried, that was crying, that was frightened, what would we do? Well, we would reassure it, wouldn't we? We would reassure this small child. We would perhaps, if we knew them well, we might give them a cuddle. We might give him or her lots of reassurance. Hold the hand. and be with them in their fear and uncertainty. So can we do that with our own small child? Can we hold his or her hand? Can we give them a cuddle? Can we look after them and reassure them and tell them that it's okay? Can we be an adult to our own small child, looking after him or her at all times? So just letting go of the small child for the moment, maybe keeping them by our side, holding the hand still, and bringing to mind our inner critic, this inner voice that constantly criticizes us, tells us where we've gone wrong, tells us where we could be better, and sometimes can be quite abusive, sometimes can tell us that we're just not good enough. So this inner critic might feel very harsh, very unfriendly. But in fact, this inner critic is scared as well. This inner critic just is desperate for us to be better than we are, to be perfect, to present ourselves to the world in a way that is completely safe. So this inner critic means well, but it's completely misguided and causes us so much pain and causes itself so much pain. This inner critic comes from an uncomfortable, painful place. So what can we do? Can we turn towards this inner critic with a sense of loving kindness and see the fear, see that this inner voice just wants to be safe? Can we also reassure this inner critic that it's okay? We know what we want to change, but we're beginning by just accepting how we are. Sometimes we're going to do things badly, we're going to make mistakes, we're going to embarrass ourselves, even humiliate ourselves. So when that happens, maybe we can turn to the inner critic with kindness. Maybe we can soothe the inner critic and just let it know that everything's fine. We're not perfect, but we're okay just as we are. And we know that change will happen. So just making a friend as much as we can of our inner critic, helping it to stay calm and to learn that this isn't the way to change things. And in the final stage, we're going to bring the whole of ourselves together again, just as we are. Bringing to mind our own internal good friend, our ability to support ourselves when things are tough, our ability to be kind to ourselves and to accept ourselves just as we are for now. And our small child within, resolving to look after this very vulnerable and frightened part of ourselves, to have a sense of kindness towards it and not trying to deny it in any way. Our small child needs our love, needs our care. And the same with our inner critic. Just knowing that this harshness, this criticism comes from a sense of fear and concern for our safety. So can we reassure our inner critic as well, that though we may not be perfect, we're okay, and we're working on accepting the things that we can't change and changing the things that we can. But for now, this is our starting point. So having a sense of loving kindness to the whole of our being, this precious, precious human life, this precious jewel that is ourselves. Can we remember through our day and weeks ahead to just love ourselves no matter what? We're always doing our best. We're always a work in progress. We're always perfectly imperfect, a precious human jewel. Well, thank you for joining me this morning. I hope that was useful for you, helpful, and that it sets you up for the day. Just remember to love yourself. We've all got to just give ourselves as much love as we can and acceptance as we can. And if we can do that, we will love and accept other people as well, because it just becomes our nature. So thank you for joining me. Just a reminder that we're going to be in the museum gardens on Saturday at 11:15 to midday. We'll be doing a half-hour's meditation at 11 o'clock. So if you can come, if you're in York, do join us. We'll be doing the social distancing thing as well. But we did it 2 weeks ago and it was lovely. If you can't join us in York, then we'll be broadcasting live from there. So you can still join the meditation in the museum gardens. That will be online just before 11. So either way, do come and join us on Saturday morning, even if it's a bit wet and a bit miserable. We'll be there, whatever the weather, unless it's it's a complete thunderstorm or a tornado. We might not be there then, but as long as it's, even if it's raining, we'll probably be there with our umbrellas. So do join us, and let's hope it's a sunny day and lovely and warm. Anyway, thanks for joining me this morning. It's been great to see you all, and take care, and have a good day, and love to you all.